Hey, how's it going, everybody? Scott Spreitzer here. He's Doug Upstone. We are Us Against the Spread, brought to you by DocSports.com. It is the free version this week because we got Mac action going on Tuesday and Wednesday. And, of course, we're cutting this for Wednesday's games, and we're going to talk about a pair of games on Wednesday night's MAC card, Eastern Michigan at Toledo and also Bowling Green at Kent State. We'll get to all of that. We'll tell you more about Us Against the Spread if you're new to this video in just a minute. But first, Doug, man, you've been on a heck of a run at usagainstthespread.com, tearing it up the last few weeks. Fill in the details so everybody can hear how well you've been doing.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and it's just and I know the people watching are they got to be happy, and just like they are happy with your selections too, Scott. So yeah, nice 13-5 run last week across the board on all games. Last 2 weeks, 26-11. That's a little over 70%. Nice. Broken down, it's 10-4 in college football, 16-7 in the NFL. And speaking of the NFL, over the last 5 weeks, I have not had a losing week. 4 winners and 1 push altogether. Money shots, not bad, 61.5%. And our one or two of our favorite topics, sexy dogs and Joes and Pros, 5-2 on both of those. So yeah, Scott, very happy with how things are going. Like I said, I'm sure the customers that we have. And by the way, speaking of customers, I'll just throw this out there. Scott and I set a goal for ourselves before the season, or before we started this, where we'd like to be by the end of the football season. Well, lo and behold, Scott, this past week we passed it. So thank you to everybody for watching. It's been absolutely fantastic, and we continue to grow leaps and bounds. So it's a lot of fun, and people obviously are enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, we're having a good time with this, and it's always a good time when you're producing winning records like Doug just talked about. His numbers over the last several weeks. Since day one that we've done Us Against the Spread, I've been able to go 75-50, which is 60% against the number of college and pro combined. And by the way, it's 2 different shows that you get every week. You get the college football show on Thursday evenings, which we talk about 8 to 10 games, sexy dog of the week, that kind of stuff, our money shots. And then on Friday nights, we post our NFL show for the week. And we cover every single Sunday football game and Monday night football. So it's a lot of games to talk about, 75-50. Also wanted to mention 4-0 the last 2 weeks with money shots, college and pro football, and sitting at 73%, 8-3-1 on the season with those money shots. So check it out if you wish. Again, thanks for the response thus far. It's at usagainstthespread.docsports.com. That's usagainstthespread.docsports.com. And of course, every Tuesday night, Wednesday, we pump out these free videos where we're talking Maction, the MAC, and that's what we're doing today. So let's get to it. It's Eastern Michigan at Toledo, Mr. Upstone, and Toledo laying a whole bunch of points there, 19. I've seen some 18.5s, total 46.5. They've won 8 in a row. You know, the crazy thing about Toledo, Doug, is they're 2 points away, a 2-point loss to Illinois to start the season from being perfect, from being 9-0. They actually outgained the Illini in that game, and they out first downed them. I think it was 28-20. No, it wasn't that bad. It was around there, though. They out first downed Illinois. They outgained them. And, yeah, it was 28-20 now that I think about it. First downs in favor of Toledo in that game, but they weren't able to hang on. Your thoughts on this one, because you've got Toledo laying doubles. They're 1-4 against the spread, and MAC play as a double-digit favorite. Eastern Michigan, they've been a double-digit dog 3 times this season. They've covered all 3 of those.
Yeah, and this, and from the standpoint of, who's got what to play for and who's looking at what situation, Toledo is 5-0 in the MAC West. Unless they literally would lose their last 3 games, that's about the only way they're not going to win the MAC West. So they're in pretty good shape here coming into this one. This is their last home game of the season. And, it used to be, and Scott, I know you remember this, last home games were, pretty profitable in college. Okay, not every home team, but especially good teams, certainly like Toledo. That's not so much the case anymore from that standpoint. And you never know, the emotions of especially a senior could be positive, could be, melancholy a little bit here. So I'm not really sure where to go with that. Now, Eastern Michigan, they need 2 wins in their last 3 games to become bowl eligible. They are coming off a bye. So they're pretty much unlikely to win this game. It certainly would seem, but I would think they're going to be primed for a good effort here to set up their next 2 games, which would be their best opportunity to become bowl eligible. Eagles are an ATS threat, though, as Scott mentioned a couple of the aspects of what they've done this season. Also, In their last 13 road games as an underdog in the MAC, they are 12-1 against the spread. And in those games, they've actually won 6 of those games outright. Toledo, they're coming off 3 straight wins right now, 3 straight wins against conference opponents. And when they play their next game after that, they are 9-21 against the spread. With the also Eastern Michigan, if they're on the road coming off a home loss, 13-3 against the spread. Scott, I'm going to grab the points with the visitor, the Eagles, plus 19 in this one.
Yeah, that's the way I'd go. I mean, you're really paying a premium for the Toledo Rockets 8-game winning streak right now. And, as I mentioned at the top, they've not done well as a double-digit MAC favorite this year. They've covered 105. And then, like you said, EMU has something to play for. It's not like Toledo's playing Kent State. Oh, by the way, we're talking about Bowling Green at Kent State. And I want to chat about that one a little bit. I've seen 9.5s and 10s. Probably about 40% of the books have Bowling Green at 9.5 and about 60%. I've got a line service in which I could put up a bunch of books, as you know, Doug, all around the world and including Nevada. I usually tend to have about 18 to 20 books on my screen. And again, about 60% of those are showing 10. The others are at 9.5. You see the total there. They've only been a favorite of 7 or more Bowling Green twice this season, but they covered both times. They're like the opposite of what Toledo does as a decent sized favorite. They not only covered the spread, but they beat the spread by a combined 26.5 points in those 2 games. So they're aiming for their bowl eligible 6th win in this one. And then Kent State, man, I just wonder, last week they have their wagon wheel rivalry. Got to be careful how I say that. It's kind of tough. And they lost that game to Akron 31-27, but the final score doesn't tell the story. I mean, Kent was up 27-10 with less than 10 minutes to go in the game and gave up 21 straight points in those final 9.5 minutes of play, and they lost that game. I'm just wondering if that loss beats them 2 weeks in a row when they go up against Bowling Green here. I think it's going to be tough to rebound. They're 0-8 straight up, 6-1 against the number when they take on FBS opponents this year. That's the Kent State Flashes. The offense, well, there's 133 college football teams. They are dead last in scoring, 133rd. They average about 14.1 points per game. The defense allows 33 points per game, so that's not much better. And for what it's worth, Bowling Green actually has revenge for a 40-6 loss to this team last year. And the thing about Kent, they lost coaches. They lost a bunch of players to the transfer portal from last year's team. It certainly was a team that was put behind the 8 ball by all these new rules with the transfer portal. And then, of course, coaches taking other jobs before the season began, and they've just not recovered. So I know it's up there. It's 9.5, 10. But as I mentioned, BG 2-0, and they cover and they win big as a favorite, again, of 7 or more. I'll back him here, Doug. Bowling Green minus the points over Kent State.
Well, I have to laugh and chuckle myself. My explanation that I was going to give on this game, now I do have the total instead of the side, but everything you said pretty much wiped it out. Okay. I had virtually almost word for word, to be perfectly honest, as to what was going to happen. So I'm going to just jump right into thoughts on the total. You mentioned 14 points per game for Kent State. I don't know where they're going to be at exactly mentally here. At least they'll be at home. So that'll be a plus from that standpoint. So the total's 41. Can I see them scoring 17 points? Yeah, I can. Okay. I think from that standpoint. Now, Bowling Green comes in, you mentioned motivation, 40-6 they lost last year. Now that was a good Kent State team, at least from that standpoint. So I think, they don't score a lot of points themselves. They only scored 19 points on the season, but I think they're going to come in with a little more of an edge in this one. And also like the fact that the Golden Flashes 14-4 over at home after a game in which they committed no turnovers. So I'm going to go over the 41 in this one, Scott.
Sounds good. So Doug backing Eastern Michigan plus the points. I agree with his play. And we don't always agree. It's cool when we do. Yeah. So I'm on Bowling Green, and Doug makes a strong case for the over in the Bowling Green Kent State game. I wanted to tell everybody that we talked about our us against the spread records, and you can see it on your scroll there. Also for our premium plays, they're found exclusively at DocSports.com on our individual handicappers homepages. And that's any play rated from as high as we get, 8-star, all the way down to as low as we get, 1-star. They're all found on our homepages over at DocSports.com. Just got done sweeping the NFL. We're talking about this game late Tuesday afternoon. Monday night's win by the Chargers got me to the sweep, and we had a 6-star win on Kansas City in Germany, which was great because I usually fall asleep about 4 a.m. and I usually try to watch games for in-game potential in the NFL. I just couldn't do it. I wake up and Kansas City's wrapping up a 21-14 win. So I was very happy about that and stress-free the rest of the day. And listen, that top play run is been outstanding. I'm up about $18,000 going back over 200 plays. And we're going to continue to look to do so. College and pro football, over 500 college football plays, 59%, over 600 NFL plays over the last few years, also 59%. Didn't plan it that way, but I'm sure happy about it. But anyway, so I'm going to have at least 7 plays. I already started handicapping the board. We're going to have another 7-star. We're going to have another 6-star. So just watch the videos each and every night. Doug cuts his own. I cut my own. And I'll tell you more about it on the Wednesday night, Thursday morning personal video that I'll be doing right here on the Doc's YouTube page, absolutely free. Doug, any thoughts on the weekend? Any final thoughts before we call it a day?
Absolutely. So yeah, so I'm about ready to dive into all of my action for the upcoming weekend, and so had a 6-unit winner with on college football with NC State outright upset. The 7-unit play was a dud. Okay, I'm not going to deny it. Okay, it was a dud. I took Seattle, and boy, was that was a poor choice. Okay, plain and simple. Baltimore played great. Seattle did not. It happens. Okay, so move on. And so everybody that had purchased that play, I just want to say, you know what? I'm not going to cry about spilled milk. I'm out to get you some of your money back this week. So that's my intent, and see what I can do to make good on that. So still won 5 of the last 7 weeks in the NFL. So here we go. Let's make it 6 out of 8 coming up this week, Scott.
Sounds good, Doug. Sounds like a plan. And folks, don't forget, college basketball underway. If you don't believe me, well, my eyes, if they're not bloodshot now, they sure were yesterday after being up all Sunday night into Monday and covering those 100 games or so. College basketball, NBA, NHL, all the daily sports can be found again exclusively on our individual homepages over at DocSports.com. Don't forget to check out the Us Against the Spread college football show on Thursday evening, Us Against the Spread NFL show on Friday evening. For Doug Upstone, I'm Scott Spreitzer. Guys, you know what to do. Put them in the win column, everybody. We'll talk to you Thursday.